I've decided I don't want to be on this ride anymore. I'd like to just can you guys like drop me off at the moon or something? I'm good.
Just do what our boy Crichton did and jump out the goddamn door.
That's a great idea. Just
The United States since 2016. On the bright side, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith is a much better film since 2016.
Okay. Sometimes we do want to get off the boat like John. So,
let's get off the boat, shall we?
Let's get on to talking about the episode. Hi, friends.
Hello, puppets.
Howdy, y'all.
And welcome to Muppet Sex and Trauma. I'm Sara Ezzat. I make the Fat Culture Critic videos on YouTube.
You almost said it.
I did.
I'm Jack Kramme, editor / right-hand man for Passion of the Nerd and editor for Chipperish Media.
And I'm Josh Gosdin, and I am the Senate.
Okay.
That's I'm the Senate.
That
went over Sarah's head, I think.
I think he's been on a Star Wars kick, and yeah.
You've edited in some lightning on those fingertips. I'd appreciate it.
I don't know.
Unlimited power.
See if I can figure out how to do that. And we aren't here to talk about Star Wars. We are here, although John would probably love to just come, and Crichton would probably love to
I think he would
watch Star Wars with us, but he's busy getting married and off into space.
Yeah. I was going to say Empire Strikes Back is looking really good to John right now.
Yeah. So we are here to talk about the second episode in the Look at the Princess. Look at the Princess, Part 2, I Do, I Think, was written by David Kemper and directed by Andrew Prouse and Tony Tilsey. When last we left our heroes, John had gotten himself entangled in a Shakespearean drama and was bound to marry the local princess and be turned into a statue for 80 years, if he doesn't first get killed by assassins. Erin was struggling with her feelings for John. Tiana and Dargo's waltz has turned into a horizontal mambo. Oh, and Zahn, Moya, and Pilot are on their own adventure. We open with Assassinus Interruptus, as John is saved from a face-melty ray just in the nick of time. And who is his unexpected savior? Genavia, fiancée of his future wife's obnoxious brother Clavor. It seems she's not just the trophy wife-to-be, but actually a peacekeeper special operative. And because every Shakespearean drama needs some mistaken identity shenanigans, she thinks John is an operative like her. And he's in no hurry to correct her on that. He's rather preoccupied bitch-slapping Clavor, and then in turn being bitch-slapped by Catrala. A family that slaps together stays together. Catrala doesn't believe him about the assassination attempts. That is, until another attempt is made on both of them this time. After 2 foiled attempts, the palace decides they need to stash him somewhere. Meanwhile, in a misty part of space, Zahn is meeting God. Or at least Moya's God. And while we may not yet know what God needs with a starship, apparently some gods built them. Kahanu, Moya's god with a rather familiar voice, is dismayed that Moya has given birth to a Leviathan with weapons. Even understanding that it was not her choice, Kahanu declares she must be decommissioned, that she and Pilot must die. And back on planet Drama, the Empress and Rigel have hatched a plan to stash John on a cargo ship in the care of the Empress's trusted servant, Rona. But maybe not so trustworthy is Rona because she's made a deal with Scorpius. He's given her a chip to scramble the ship's signal and bring John to a ship where Braca will be waiting. Over in the Misty Place, Zahn is angry and pleads for Moya's life. Kahanu allows Moya to speak for herself, and she says she accepts her fate. John is not so ready to go gently into the good night, and when Braca tries to capture him, a desperate John distracts him with some improv while throwing switches and various things to attract the attention of the defense grid, which starts firing at them. In the chaos, Rona dies. Braca escapes with the only spacesuit, and John is left alone in an imminently exploding ship. In a moment of calm, John hears Scorpius's voice telling him he must survive. With no options left, John takes a spacewalk without a suit and somehow makes it to a transport pod just in time. Back on the planet and healing, John finds himself much where he was before, caught between marriage or Scorpius. Aaron finds him and begs him to keep running. With you, says John, seeking some hope, something to hold on to, but she cannot give him that. And so he accepts his fate. There is no way out. He is going to marry Katrala. On Moya, Zahn comforts Pilot as he and Moya likewise accept their fate and are slipping into oblivion. And so it is John's wedding day. He looks for Erin, but she is gone. Unable to face this day, she has gone hiking with some random dude. Rigel, Chiana, and Dargo are there, though. And when the wedding is done, as John prepares for statuehood, Dargo gives him what comfort he can. The truth and a joke to ease the tension. And so, laughing and cringing from pain, a newlywed John becomes a statue. And that is where we leave him for now. So, thoughts?
This episode is a good part 2 from the first episode, and I had some fun with it, but like the operatic drama is like turned up to 11. Like it's insane. And again, like the last episode, it's so dense, but I actually started to feel a little fatigued with all of the drama. Like I really did. It just became so much that my brain kind of switched off, and I stopped caring about all the little like plotting and the intrigue and the like oh, I'm gonna do this behind your back and stab you in the back and just all this like crazy shit. I'm just like, cool, but I'm feeling myself caring a lot less. Yeah.
Man, I had a blast with this episode. I actually feel like they did a really good job of narrowing the focus back down to John. Like it's a lot less. It's a lot less cast of characters than it was last episode, and it's a lot more about what all this means for John. And we actually get to see some characterization of Katrala too, which I really appreciate. Like I like her; she's a cool character. And then the tying it all together for me was John, the parallel of John and Moya and their predicament, and really enjoyed that as well. So I just had a blast with this episode.
Yeah, I think it's okay to sort of to check out of a lot of the shenanigans, because I think it is just kind of shenanigans.
It doesn't matter. A lot of it doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's a lot of stuff and nonsense to kind of focus you on the emotion of it. And the emotion of it is John's, like John feels overwhelmed.
Yeah. And I didn't necessarily dislike it. It was still good, but it was just so much, you know.
It was a lot. It was a lot, unquestionably.
Yeah. And I kind of think the a lot was kind of deliberate to give us that feeling of overwhelm that John is having.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Yeah, it's very fitting thematically, I guess.
I mean, if you're going to have a scene like the scene in between him and Braca, like that whole thing, you kind of have to.
Is that in the cargo ship?
Yeah.
That. Oh my God, incredible!
You have to push him to a place, and I think all the stuff is there to push him to the place where doing that makes sense.
Well, should we talk about John?
Let's talk about John.
We got to talk about John. Yeah,
I loved that. Like basically, the second someone tries to kill him, all bets are off. He's just like zero fucks given. He's just like bull in a China shop. Just like, I'm gonna just bulldoze everybody and just not care about all of this like protocol. Like he's not supposed to. What is it? You cannot strike me. I am royalty. And he's like, boop. Like he just does not care.
Yeah,
so good.
He was giving me Mel Gibson and Lethal Weapon vibes kind of throughout, and just the like, his reaction to Scorpius and Broca and Rona and just I really liked the if you do this again, I'm going to be angry scene with his future brother-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then we get a very irony smash moment of the royal family do not believe in physical violence.
Yes. No, I like when Contrala walked in and smacked him around, I was like, sold. Yes, this is my person. Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
I have a deep pathology, but it's consistent.
Yeah.
And then that scene in the cargo ship was just incredible. Like,
oh, good.
He just loses his freaking mind, and I loved it so much. It's fun and zany and crazy, but it felt a little odd to me too. It's not that it was out of character or anything, but it was so over the top that part of me was like, wait, did I miss something? Was he drugged or something? Because it's just so like extra. But I think it's just he's reached a breaking point. He's snapped,
Yeah,
I think we have to talk about how he got to that place, because I think most of the episode is getting him to the place. We have like it opens with him being assaulted, and then he's saved by Genovia, and automatically immediately he has to like play games to
like he's saved, but he's not safe.
Yeah. And then, then nobody's believing him about him being attacked. And Controla's, they've put him in a position where they've stuck him in a position where he has to marry her. And now they're questioning, now she has the nerve to question whether she's going to marry him. It's kind of like, we are stuck with each other. And she's questioning his sanity, and it's all, and also like Scorpius is there the whole time.
Yeah.
And Scorpius playing that charming role, being like this affable, charming guy when he's fucking tortured John and he wants to dissect his brain. Like that just it's just pushing John. And he's already in a weird place with in the conversation with Rona. On the flight up.
Right. So it's essentially, he is in a pressure cooker the whole time. It just sort of I don't know, just like the zaniness of that scene was just sort of great. I loved it, but I was like, wait, what, did something happen that I missed? But no, it all makes sense.
And Scorpius taunts him right before that. Like that I think is the trigger, is Scorpius taunting.
Right. Yeah.
It's to me it's very, very human. It's very in character. It's that's how a regular guy would react to a life and death situation, not a paragonal hero like we're used to seeing in those kinds of sci-fi epics. But just a dude, just a fellow, just a guy who misses his toaster and his
guy would react. It's we know John by now. We know this is how he reacts.
But what I'm saying is he's the everyman, and so it's very much like, it's very humanizing, his wacky fight to survive.
That scene too, I love how it goes from zany and silly and over the top to this really kind of dramatic, very sort of operatic point to where, like, he ejects himself and like the score, it just everything. It's like this dramatic crescendo, like the builds and boom. I really liked it. It was good.
Yeah, I love him using pop culture to survive in that moment, like using the referencing Blazing Saddles and everything. Yeah, and then of course, like he's unique. That's the thing. So and throwing out, well, you don't know what humans are like. One, if you shoot me once, I could bleed out. And one of the most famous lines I think in the fandom is "kill my sex life."
Oh my god, that was so good!
Me up, man.
Oh, I laughed so hard. Oh, that was so good. Oh yeah, that's actually my notes here. That was so good. So good.
I love that one.
Yeah. So and Braca is just kind of completely lost.
Yeah. And I felt a little sorry for Rona because I think she was a little naive and sort of a little manipulated, I guess. But she was essentially, the Judas that sold him out.
She was, but also like maybe don't have people our culture is devoting themselves to servitude.
Right.
Because like don't enslave people. They are not loyal if you enslave them.
Right.
This is kind of how that works.
It's quite the Aesop. Slavery is bad because they'll turn on you.
Well, slavery is bad for many reasons.
Yes,
slavery is bad for the enslaver because they cannot trust their slaves. Like you can't trust the people around you if you own them and they're and you are oppressing them. They are not going to. They're not going to be loyal to you.
Yeah, I felt bad for her as well, especially that she got cooked by the ship.
Yeah, like literally.
Yeah, I think she's the only character death so far in this trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you recognize the actor?
No,
not specifically.
We've seen her before in another heavily made up role with a very different voice.
The bubble lady, the lady with all the bubbles on her, the bone eater lady.
The bone eater.
Yeah.
Emily.
Yeah. Emily, that's right. Yeah. I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, this is Ben Browder's wife.
Okay.
Nice.
And on a similar note, do you recognize the voice of Kahenu? Does anything about Kahenu seem familiar to you at all?
Well, when he appeared, he was in like a Doctor Evil pose, except he was using the wrong finger. I actually laughed. I don't know what that was about.
He looked like one of the aliens on Babylon 5 with the headdress that he had on.
Yes.
But his voice, no idea.
But his voice should be familiar to you. We hear this voice every episode.
Really?
Really?
Who is it?
Yes.
I'm trying to imagine his voice now. It's not the guy that does Rigel, is it?
It is the guy who does Rigel.
Okay.
Man,
I forget his name. I can see his face, but I forget his name.
John Hardy, I believe.
That's it. Yeah,
nice.
John. Yeah, that'd be the.
Did a really good job.
Yeah, because it's not very obvious. I don't think so.
Yeah, he does a Welsh accent. If you know, you can definitely tell.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, this is that he got to be on camera as a god.
Yeah.
So shall we talk about Zon Rigel and our Zon pilot and Moya's adventure meeting God?
Josh, you look like you got things to say here, buddy. So why don't you take the lead?
I am very satiated, very satisfied. I've had a full meal. I have been fulfilled by this plot line because I've been this ticked so many things that I've been asking for from the beginning of the show. This gave us some insight into Moya as a character.
Yeah, we actually get to hear her speak.
Yeah.
You asked a couple weeks ago when we talked about in Out of the Mines. You were like, how cool would it be to hear Moya speak? Well,
yeah.
Here we are.
I just wish we got to hear
I was doing the
same.
poker face thing because
I just wish we got to hear her say more, really. Like, I just wanted more.
I agree. And I also really like just getting to know more about Moya's origins, and just gee whiz, that plot line of Zahn the priestess versus a god that was also so much of what I've been craving from Zahn this whole time. That was peak Zahn in this episode of the minute when it turns is when she goes, a capricious god. And I was like, fuck him up, Zahn. Get him.
Yeah.
But I'll rant and rave about this more, but you talk now.
I particularly love the scene where Pilot's essentially resigned to his fate. And he and Zahn are basically saying goodbye, and he says, I am ready now. I have seen the stars. Like, my God, that was a callback to the episode where we began his origins. Like, it was, my freaking heart, man. That was so beautiful.
She's holding him. Yes.
Yeah, it's just,
so good. It was so good.
Beautiful.
Yes.
But yeah, the whole subplot, whatever you want to call it, so interesting, intriguing, well done. I almost preferred it to everything else that was going on in the episode. It felt, I don't know, it felt more structured and contained, and like the A plot, there's so many moving parts going on. As I said, like my brain switched off with some of it because it was just too much. So this one was much more digestible, I guess.
Well, it's the emotional core of the episode. Because it is a reflection on what's happening with John, even though John, it's all manic, but the heart of it is like sort of do you rage against the dying of the light or accept it? And you know, because they both come to a place of giving up, of accepting. And while Zahn is refusing to accept, and I think it's just a lovely sort of reflection between the two, done while keeping the filming less for Virginia Hay, and sort of keeping the bit very contained.
I also loved the line from her, all life cherishes life. That was a good one. I really like that. God, her performance throughout this entire episode was amazing.
It was so good.
I have long ago accepted the alien life practices different beliefs, but all life cherishes life.
Yes.
And I mean that there's an ethical discussion here, I think, because the gods have Kahenu. You can to a degree see where he's coming from. They desire to prevent gunships.
I guess so. Yeah.
The idea of the world having Leviathan gunships.
It seems a bit draconian, though. I don't know. It's something about it.
It is very draconian, because he is then punishing Zahn, punishing Moya as a victim of, you know, sexual assault and exploitation. Because like she was impregnated against her will. Not knowing what she was, and you know, she chose to give birth. But you know, this was a product of assault.
But I struggle with the logic of it, though, because just because it happened once doesn't mean it's going to happen again. You know, this was sort of an incident that happened a while ago at this point. Kahenu should know that, you know, should know that it is that it's not likely to happen again, I guess, because it was sort of a forced pregnancy, more or less. You know, it was a forced impregnation.
Or if it does happen again, it'll be because someone else makes it happen again. Again.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's victim blaming of the worst caliber. He is attempting to compel Moya to take responsibility for her own assault. And in doing so, seems to be saying that this will solve the problem or prevent it from happening again, which sort of disregards the notion that it was peacekeeper technology that made it possible. So, but he also said pretty outright and explicitly to Zahn, I am not your god. So maybe there's some deity jurisdiction at work here or something like that.
Part of me wonders if they're actually going to kill off Moya, which would be a ballsy move. But I don't know. Like, there was something about it that didn't necessarily feel like a fake out. Like John, I know they're going to save him somehow. Like, he's not going to be a statue for 80 years. But
what are you talking about? Of course he is. Next episode, we come back in 80 years with an entirely new cast.
Well, I thought that maybe, well, not in a new cast, but maybe he's a statue for a while. But something about the Moya subplot there made me feel that, like, I don't actually know what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
John becoming a statue, for me, was a foregone conclusion as soon as you told us the name of the third episode.
Yeah, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah,
the Maltese Crichton.
But it's kind of one of those things, like, if you bring up the idea of turning your main character into a statue and you don't do it,
I'm glad that they did.
Somebody's getting statued if you bring it up in the first act, right?
For like Chekhov's statue. Chekhov's bronzer. But the third episode is obviously going to be rescuing John from his petrified fate. They were also, like, the writers themselves were deliberately referencing The Empire Strikes Back all throughout this episode, as a way of kind of like thematically tying together. No, we're going for it. But the stuff on Moya is in my opinion just so deliciously creative. And I love the drama of it. I love that for this god, for Kahenu, Moya's assault, forced impregnation, and birth of a child she had no conscious hand in shaping before he was born. Like, it's not her fault that he was a gunship. He could have been a canoe. Is sufficient to induce her suicide, to murder Pilot, and to strand Zahn. Like, I don't know if there's another transport on board, what happens to a Leviathan's transport when the Leviathan is dead, but also, can she fly John's craft? Can she fly Aaron's prowler? Or has Zahn also been condemned to death? And for this god Kahenu, that's fine. Everything's good.
I also doubt whether Moya is actually acting of her own free will.
Same.
I doubt that. Yeah.
Or even if she is, I'm not sure that I could reasonably blame somebody for encountering the physical, what they believe to be the physical manifestation of their god. Like, even if there's no mind control at work, there is an unquestionable sense of you're not acting in your full faculty.
That's true.
Yeah, and Moya has always been coded more in a sort of animal way than a human way. So like, there is, it's like, is a dog really acting out of free will, or a horse?
Right.
They're sort of enthralled to their people, I mean, she has a voice in this episode, but it's still like, it's it's not a sophisticated
No, it's
intelligence.
not.
No.
No. She speaks in like what you would essentially call broken English or something. Like it's not very
and
yeah,
it
eloquent.
also, yeah, and her being like Moya is willing or whatever her line was, also comes after she has apparently been condemned by her god.
Yeah.
Like not only did the physical god show up and be like, hey, do you mind dying? He said, do you mind dying? Because it's all your fault.
Yeah. And
Like who among us could reasonably resist that if we met the god we've ever prayed to?
Right.
And she's been missing her son. Like she was so distressed at the loss of Talon to begin with.
She probably thinks some of it is her fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think part of the problem for me with Moya is that having Pilot relay everything she's thinking and feeling creates this layer of distance or like a detachment from her that like I can't connect with Moya in the way that I can the other characters.
Sure.
But maybe that's just me.
No, it's a challenge from a storytelling perspective.
Yeah, it does put her in this sort of animal space.
Yeah. That's exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, her and Pilot are sort of because they're so symbiotic, they become one entity. So it's really it's great to hear her speak separately, but also like in this episode, if she dies, he dies. Yeah, they are.
Right.
And it's so heartbreaking to hear Pilot say he can't hear her anymore.
Yeah. Oh God. It was so good, you guys. It was so good.
And how that mirrored with the Aaron and John scene where he, he's trying so hard to find something to hope.
The visual of Moya sinking into the clouds was gorgeous as well.
Yeah, that was great. I really like that too.
But yeah, the parallels between Moya and John, Zahn and Aaron, to some degree Pilot and Dargo, and then of course Kahenu and the Empress. Both plot lines, like in the first episode, in the first part of this trilogy, the plot lines are very much like, all right, so they're doing a separate kind of a weird side quest adventure thing. But in this episode, the plot lines were just painted so beautifully parallel. I loved it.
So having talked about Zahn, let's talk about Aaron. She has one of my favorite lines in this episode. It's not you, it's me.
I don't like you. Yes, it was so good.
We were so somber that I needed to lift them.
I literally cheered. Cheered.
when she threw it into the lake.
That
was great.
Yeah.
Jack, you want to go?
Oh, I was just gonna say that whole scene was really, really pretty too. I just like the composition and wherever the hell they were. It was just a really, really pretty scene. But Josh, you seem like you have more to say about Aaron. So go ahead, sir.
I mean, it's just so heart wrenching watching her love him as hard as she does,
but not really being able to admit it or be open about it. Yeah, because it's clearly there. It's clearly there. And it pisses her off so much, which is understandable.
And her line to Chiana when Chiana's like, just tell him. And she goes, John knows all he needs to.
And
like that
are stupid.
Well, I mean, yes, that,
but which is actually, we're all stupid when it comes to love. That's not a gendered thing.
I mean, it kind of is. Men are. I mean, we have thousands of years of history to back that up. Men are pretty dumb.
Well,
I don't know. Have you met bisexual women? We're all hopeless.
It is a legit fact, though. Like it's apparently a proven thing in psychology that when you fall in love with someone, you tend to overlook or you have like a blind spot to their negative traits, and both men and women do that. So
sure,
yeah.
But you just can never see, like you just second guess yourself and like Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
her he knows all he needs to line is so layered to me,
Mm-hmm.
in a way that I really appreciate, because yes, for sure it's speaking to her own insecurities of, um, there's a great episode of Star Trek Enterprise, where one character is getting married to somebody that she doesn't want to, and another character who is in love with her, is encouraged to tell her, and he says, well, if I do, she could call off the wedding, or worse yet, not call it off. Like, he knows all he needs to. Her fear of, even if she throws herself at him, he'll still go through with it.
Mm-hmm.
But also, he knows all he needs to. Like, he is making this choice, presumably with a full awareness of his own feelings for Aaron.
Right.
And the notion that she feels like she can't save him with just her love is its own kind of heartbreaking.
And she also doesn't really give up either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Aaron. I love Aaron.
For the most part,
I love Aaron.
But he also knows that she can't that she's not in the place to be with him. She can't even say, I love you. She can't even say, when he, says with you. And I love that he's holding her hair at that moment. And it's just like,
God.
It's like there is just oceans of words unsaid. Just so much unsaid.
That scene.
She's not there yet emotionally. So she has to go with all of us. Like, she can't. One of the things he knows is that she can't reach over that, and
he
needs something to hope for.
He does, but there's also something to be said for, sometimes we have to love ourselves enough to save ourselves, as opposed to someone else's love saving us.
Yeah.
And so I love the layers. It's like a delicious lasagna.
My prediction for the future is Aaron, that dam that she's built up, it's gonna break and she's gonna fall hard. They're gonna be madly in love, and it's gonna be beautiful, and I'm gonna love it.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel to see my faces.
Yes.
That would be an interesting place for the story to go.
Poker face, love it.
Sara, I swear to God. I swear to Kahinu.
Yeah, but in this moment, I think he loves himself enough to save himself, but also, like, he is exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's why he does it in the end. He doesn't want to. Like, I think the fact that when he gets frozen, it's like mid grimace is very telling. It's very thematically fitting, because sure, he does it willingly, but he does not want to.
Yeah, and the marriage vow is without hesitation, which is
he spent 2 episodes hesitating.
Like, in a lot of ways, this episode doesn't move the plot forward.
No, and
because
that's a problem I had with it too.
Exactly the same place at the end. However, it's one of those times where you end up in the same place, but you're a different person.
Yes, that's why I appreciate it.
He goes through this emotional journey of, like, really, can I escape? And just how hopeless is this situation? Mm-hmm. And it's just this mad, frenetic thing to come back to the same place of, no, I can't get out.
Yeah, and it's also just, it's literally like it's a part of a 3-parter, so it's literally the middle part of this story. So it's not going to have a lot of things moving forward, I guess.
But it's a good way to use that middle part, is to have that emotional sort of mess that comes back to this, sort of exploration that comes back to the same place of rock and hard place.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's very well done. It's very much a churn. It's like being caught in a whirlpool. You may stay in the same place, but you're definitely not the same afterwards.
Yeah. So what else is there to talk about? Let's talk a bit about Katrala. I think she's a really interesting character in all this. I really love how fleshed out she is. I love that even though she's in love with someone else, she's the sort of person who has the duty to go through with this, and she's going through with it with her best she can. Like she's saying the pieces of different kindling. She says she's going to stand there with love in her heart. She's making
it's a sense of duty.
Yeah.
Tragic duty, especially compared to her and Tino at the lake in the last episode of like, then tell me we'll run away together. And Tino, like the look on his face and during the vows, especially when she says, speak now or forever hold your peace, or whatever the alien equivalent of that is. And he's just like he lowers his head a little bit.
I love the performance from the actor. She was great too. Like I just thought it was really great performance.
Yeah, I think they all did. I forgot another one of my favorite moments is the really interesting sort of gendered moment of in the bathroom when the girls are doing their makeup and their shade off, and Aaron just comes in and sticks their face.
That was so good.
That was great.
It's one of these episodes. It's like it's emotionally heartbreaking and ridiculous.
And again, like Erin was so desperate to save John. She really was. Yeah.
But yeah, I liked Katrala, and I did kind of like her with John. I feel like they have really good chemistry and played off each other really well.
Yeah. I think so too.
And I, in under different circumstances, I could definitely see the two of them having a like us versus the world bond.
Yeah, I think she's making the effort to.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, he like doesn't want her to die. Like he gives a shit about her too. If only the most basic of shits. But
yeah,
I was also a little like, so how old is Katrala's mom? Like, was she also a statue?
They look like sisters.
Yeah, but she is, and so then she was unfrozen and immediately was like, all right, let's get you married. Like how, or was she unfrozen so that she could have the kids?
Well,
the politics are
TV. How often do they cast? Older women are cast as 30.
Yeah,
right. Somebody posted a picture of the parents from the Steve Martin version of Father of the Bride, and was like, they were supposed to be in their 40s, and they're both like gray.
But also, like, we know, I think it's been established that Sebastians live longer, and they may age slower.
Fair enough.
So she may just be very well preserved.
Well, clearly, if she was a statue for 80 years.
Yes, well, that too. Maybe the statue is some really good moisturizing effect.
I'll bet it is. I also bet it's stinky.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. And if they maintain an awareness while they're in statute form, which is, as I understood, the point of it is they're supposed to like sit there and absorb all governmental knowledge for 80 years.
Oh my God! If they're conscious, that would be awful.
That's what I understood. And
I didn't get that. That is awful.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
So I'm looking forward to that aspect of the third episode, especially because I'm hoping that we're going to get kind of a John Light episode by necessity.
Yeah.
I hope he's not released from the carbonite in the first act.
Yeah, I think it'd be more interesting if he actually spends quite a bit of time, like a couple of weeks or something like that, frozen. I just think that'd be more interesting. And yeah, I have a feeling that Aaron's gonna action hero the shit out of this somehow and bust him out. That's my prediction.
That's my hope. I mean, I would want Aaron to action hero it.
We shall chalk. Okay, so prediction is Aaron pulls a
John McClane,
Princess Leia kind of John McClane thing and saves the day.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's what I think is going to happen.
We shall see if we shall see if Farscape goes there.
And when he gets unfrozen, she is going to kiss him. I think that's what's going to happen.
Okay.
She's going to punch him.
Which is like a kiss for her.
So we have one prediction for punching and one prediction for kissing.
Tune in next week to see who's right.
Yes, we shall see how that plays out. I don't think I think there's definitely going to be things in the next episode that surprise you.
Oh, okay.
Good. It's Farscape.
Again, I've said this with so many episodes, but I love that it's not following the traditional story structure and the good guys always win, and I love that. I love that it's subversive, and oftentimes I'm just like, I have no idea what's going to happen, because that makes it more fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'll tell you one moment that broke my heart in this episode was Dargo offering one last bit of comfort to John right before he was bronzed. Yeah. And then the way that Anthony Simcoe just let his face just fall.
Yeah.
Afterwards was like, oh.
Again, Dargo was a total bro this episode. Total bro.
Yeah, that is, for a lot of people, that is a standout moment from the series. Is the well, John, I can only speak the truth.
John and I are having amazing sex.
That's the good news. The fantastic.
and like they both laugh together, but then
and then John's laughing, and then he starts like screaming like it's so.
So, do you remember like a season ago when these two guys were like, we'll never be friends?
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Right.
And like, and
I remember that bugging me too. I really didn't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was in the Desert Dog episode.
Yes, it was. And in that episode, we talked about like how they were being all toxic masculinity and all that stuff. And I said, like, we talked about if this gets it out, then it's worth it. But we were talking about where is it going to go from here? And I think like just because this is one of the best Broy moments, I think it's a moment to look back and look at the way that this friendship has developed.
All these relationships, kind of an unsung hero of the episode is Rigel.
That episode, wasn't it As Blood Runs Clear or something like that?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Till the blood runs clear.
Yeah.
But Rigel never gives up either. Rigel is working very hard behind the scenes, and he's in his element. Like the Dominar is home.
Actually, I completely forgot about him.
Yeah. But he's working everything that he can for John. Like he's doing his damnedest to keep John alive and to save John. Like he is channeling all of his greedy, conniving, manipulative, selfish, bastard tendencies to help his friend.
Yeah.
Speaking of how far these characters have come from the second episode where Rigel is in the sack and John's like, yeah, he's sick, and we're just like,
yeah, and even from when Rigel tried to sell everybody out.
Yeah.
Like Rigel is still Rigel, but he also is having an arc. It's a shallow arc.
And I'm glad that he's still recognizable as himself, because it bugs me when characters just do a 180 out of nowhere. It doesn't feel natural to me.
Agreed. Yeah,
but I do love the way that John and Dargo are just so open and honest, and there for each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. It's one of my favorite bromances that I've seen on screen. Like I really like it. Yeah, and I just want more of it too. Like I can't wait to see where it goes.
So we haven't gotten as many. I don't feel like we've gotten quite as many overt pop culture references in recent episodes as we did in this episode. So obviously they were striking a couple of beats from Empire Strikes Back. He calls out the floating gas ball. And he's like, Obi-Wan had something like that. At the very end, when Chiana hugs John and says, "I love you," John says, "I know." Which is also straight out of Empire Strikes Back. Then of course he's frozen in carbonite. But I was also getting 2001 Space Odyssey vibes after his manic crazy fight with Broca. The soundtrack was, I feel, very different than it usually is. It was much more strings and a little bit more classic. Not quite Blue Danube, but a little bit more classic. And then, of course, blowing himself out the airlock, just like Dave Bowman did, to try to get from the pod to the Discovery when he was trying to go from the transport to the transport pod. It was like homaging the sequence, I feel, down to some of the blocking. It was very well done. I was geeking out. I liked it.
No, it's great. And speaking of that scene again, so there was an interesting moment of calm. And I'm wondering what you two made of it.
Of calm?
Before the moment of calm where John hears Scorpy's voice.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
So we know Scorpius has telepathic abilities. And we saw the Sebastian bad breath heat waves of truth telling in the previous episode, but not in this episode. And so, I'm out, and we know Scorpius values John and is like, "You're unique, John." And so I'm wondering if Scorpius was like, "Save yourself for me, please," while he was out there. But having him reach out directly like that was kind of weird.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know what to make of that. I don't. Yeah. I'm not sure.
That's fine. You don't have to make anything of it yet.
Okay. I could tell by the look on your face there, Sarah, that there was a little more to that. Yeah.
I'm just drawing your attention to a neat thing that happened.
It was also very Empire Strikes Back, and Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker having the post-fight telepathic conversation during the escape from Cloud City. And so now I'm wondering if every once in a while John's going to be like taking a shit and hear Scorpius' voice. John,
don't forget to wipe.
Use the bidet, John.
Well, I don't think we're going to see that happen.
I don't know what's going to happen on this show.
But it's an interesting idea for sure. Yeah.
Darth Scorpius.
Yeah.
I think the craziest thing that they could do with Scorpius is to, I've been talking about how I think Krace is gonna turn something to the light. If they did that with Scorpius, holy shit! But I don't think they will. I mean, I think it's gonna be really cool. But what, Josh?
I said I don't think they will either. I mean,
yeah,
that would be really cool, but he looks too good in black leather.
Exactly. He looks too evil. He's essentially Darth Vader. Yeah.
I mean, I think he's not Darth Vader. He's his own thing.
Yeah.
And I love how charming he manages to be while also being utterly
terrifying
and completely ruthless.
Yeah.
Like he's just pure ruthlessness.
Yeah.
And him playing with Rona too, like pulling her onto his lap, and he's clearly gonna how dumb do you have to be? He is going to kill you. This guy.
Yeah, I fully believe he was going to screw her over. There's no way.
Like you make sure to give her a special treat. Oh,
Exactly.
I'm gonna get a special treat. I'm like, no.
They were gonna kill her and take the money back. That's exactly what they were gonna do.
No.
Yeah.
You are so painfully
That's
naive.
why I was like, she got manipulated because she's naive, and
Yeah. But she got the chance to do the possessing of things. And I love the performance of her.
Yeah, it's really good. Really good.
We will see Francesca Buller return. Not as Rona, but
of course.
there shall be more. When you see a character with a really great performance that's totally unrecognizable from anything else, ask yourself if they look vaguely familiar.
Okay.
Noted.
I'll keep that in mind. Yeah.
Because I'll be looking to see if you guys pick up if there's any future times I don't have to say, so who do you think was playing the weird little alien?
Okay. Also, there's a hint. It's an alien. It's wait, it's Farscape. Of course, it was.
They're all aliens. Yeah.
And she happens to be little and very good at weird performances.
So. Yeah, that's the thing. Her performances are really quirky and like kind of off-putting. Like Emily was terrifying, absolutely terrifying.
Like nightmare-inducing.
Yeah, and Rhoda was just really quirky and strange, and I really liked it. Yeah, tragic too. Yeah.
There's also rumors that their kid may have been one of the kids that may have been the kid that we saw in the last episode.
Oh, okay. The hologram.
It's unconfirmed.
Okay.
But yeah, this is a family project.
Go all in.
Why not?
But yeah, I just love this episode, top to bottom, front to back. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
It's a very good one.
Fatigue aside, I did enjoy it. It was good.
When Farscape hits, man, it hits it out of the park.
Yeah.
Yeah. So any other bits? We have more from the Scarran, having an interaction with Chiana.
Yeah.
What else?
Like I said, it narrowed it down to John for me, such that those kinds of bits were a little inconsequential.
Yeah, that's how they felt to me too.
Yeah.
So much so that I didn't even bother to note them down because I was like, yeah, this is important.
The one nit I'll pick is, and maybe this will get picked up in part 3, but John could have told somebody that the Sniveling Brothers' fiance was an undercover peace operative. Could have mentioned it. Could have just kind of, by the way, heads up.
Like, such operatic drama. There's a spy. Like, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got to be a spy. But who knows what would I don't know. I don't know why he didn't tell. I mean, he's not telling Aaron many things at the moment. I don't know why he doesn't tell Dargo.
My nitpick, that fight at the beginning of the episode where the peacekeeper spy lady beats the shit out of those dudes. It's very, very choppy in the way it's edited, and when you see that in fight sequences, it's because the choreography wasn't very good. And I just I cannot help but notice that when I see that kind of editing in a fight scene now.
Yeah, it's very stagey, and like with a lot of the Foley artists were having fun with this episode.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's
It wasn't terrible, but I was like, oh, okay, yeah, you guys were struggling here because it's so choppy and there's so many cuts that it's sort of hard to follow too.
Yeah. But I don't think it's like it. I think it's relatively a small thing in the same way that like.
Of course.
The overloaded plot nonsense also just becomes a bit chaotic when you focus on the emotional thing.
Yeah. That's why I called it a nitpick, because it absolutely does not matter. Like, it's just something I noticed.
So, anything else we want to go into?
I've got any
themes?
I mean, the parallelism between Moya and John, but also I don't know. It kind of seemed like we were making some commentary on religion or gods or people in power in general. In especially in the way that it equated what was his name again? Casserole?
Kahenu.
Thank you.
That's
It equated Kahenu to the Empress, and the Empress is just a person. And even Kahenu was like, I'm not your god. Like he is ostensibly just a person, but a person of great power and influence. So is the Empress leveraging her entire full court press to get John bronzed any different than Kahenu leveraging his clout and mystique to get Moya to commit suicide? And like I said, I'm not quite sure if there was a fully baked idea there or if I got the full idea from it, but it just seemed like there was a tension being drawn to it in a way that I appreciated.
For me, I think the through line is sort of hope. Again, as we had the discussion last episode about John's like losing hope. And in this episode, John and Moya both sort of lose hope. And yeah, it's like just how fragile hope can be. That, he just needed a word from Aaron, and he probably would have lifted anything to try and find another way.
Right.
And at the same time, I wonder if part of, and they had the conversation in the last episode, we can overcome everything except each other. And it's just, the hope, the feathered thing.
Yeah, the
stuff dreams are made of.
Yeah, the hope in all its different forms, and losing hope, gaining hope, all those.
Yeah, sorts. And it's such a fragile thing. And when a person is pushed and pushed and pushed, or when someone, and they feel that the people they love aren't there for them, it's just that fragile hope can snap. And you can accept your fate to be made a statue for 80 years. But and then the way that he there's something in Ben's performance on the scene on the bed when in the way that he holds her hair and then lets it go and the sort of leans back and just
he lets go.
Yeah. And it's no longer about the search for home for him because he's already given up on that.
I guess he sort of makes peace with it as best he can. Like, I don't think he wants to do it. He's not happy about it, but it's just kind of like, what else can I do?
Yeah, it is despair.
Oh.
Yeah.
And yet, but Chiano and Dargo are having great sex. So
maybe there is
a bonus. Yeah, maybe there is hope. Well, as long as you're getting laid, things are kind of okay.
It's the importance of a friend when you're in the dire straits, I think. When you're in
such a bro.
When you're in despair, is having someone who will be totally honest with you and also make you laugh in your worst moments.
Which is what Zahn gets to do for Pilot.
Yeah, she doesn't crack jokes because that's not really her thing, but she's there. She holds him.
She does her best. I don't know. I guess I was thinking about the sadness of Moya, and was thinking about also like how easy it is for us to blame ourselves for things, whether they're genuine mistakes we've made or the I should have done better, or I should have done more, I should have known better kind of mistakes that maybe were inevitable. And so Moya getting captured in the first place, Moya having to do anything that the peacekeepers wanted while she had the control collar on, and Moya giving birth to an angry teenage rebel ship. And even in this trilogy, Moya fleeing at the first sign of trouble and abandoning her crew, which we've been told previously, like her crew is everything to her. So when her god comes to her and says it's all your fault, she probably is thinking to herself, yeah, it kind of is. And it's just really tragic like that.
Oh, yeah.
But the important thing is this is not the end of the story.
Exactly.
Of course, yeah.
Despair is not the end of the story.
Not at all.
We are at the low point, but we get to see where our people go from here.
We get to rekindle hope.
I'm really excited to see where this goes and what's going to happen.
Me too. I've been loving these episodes.
Yeah. So our final episode is going to be of the 3-part is the Maltese Kraken, which we will talk. We will the next episode will be in 2 weeks, and then the episode after that is one called Beware of Dog.
Okay.
Cool.
Do you want to make any predictions for Beware of Dog?
Rolf is coming back.
Maybe something like Dog God, something like that. I don't know. Like, I have no idea. This show, I can't predict this show.
And then following that is an episode called "Won't Get Fooled Again."
Oh, okay. Is that a reference to Bush?
I was gonna say I need some sunglasses.
you can't get fooled again. I really hope it is a reference to that, because that was that's an ancient meme. That is. Oh my god.
I think it's a reference to the song.
Oh, okay.
Fool me once. Shame on. Well, you can't fool me twice.
You can't get fooled again.
The episode was before Bush, so no, it wasn't.
It would have been during,
just before Bush.
He'd just been elected.
Oh, okay.
January 2001 air date I saw on the Apple account just now. So we just got our Texan president back then.
Yeah. So no, it's a reference to meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Get on your knees and pray.
I'm still gonna pretend it's a reference to Bush. I don't care.
If we could get some licensing rights to that song and you could overlay the drum beat right here, I'd really appreciate it. Now I'm turning into a Muppet. I'm turning into an animal.
Yeah, it's usually Jack that does the singing.
Nope.
Do you happen to have any predictions for Won't Get Fooled Again? Any guesses?
I don't know. Deceit of some kind. I don't know.
Murder
and deceit. John's gonna get turned into a statue again.
Okay. Well, that is one that we will definitely do a reaction to.
Okay, cool.
Hey, cool. Excellent.
Yeah, cool. That'll be fun.
So, yes. So all of you out there who are wondering, yes, we will do a reaction to Won't Get Fooled Again.
We need to do favorite parts.
Yes, we do need to do favorite parts.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were getting ready to wrap up there.
That is kind of our wrap up place, is the favorite parts. Okay. So Jack, what was your favorite part?
It's the bit in the cargo ship where we're so screwed, man. We're gonna die. It's just that it made me laugh. It was badass. It was crazy. It was just so good. Loved it. Josh, what about you, sir?
Sorry, I just realized that was another pop culture reference. He was doing his Bill Paxton from Aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Game over, man. That's it. Game over. No, my favorite part was, dear God Almighty, was Anthony Simcoe's face falling right after John turns into a statue. Like, that got me right here. Second place was a capricious god. Zahn was ready to fuck shit up.
It's hard to choose. I love Aaron's. It's not you, it's me. I don't like you.
So good. So good.
But I think I'm gonna give it to John. I can only speak the truth.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. And the trying to go out on the Nixon hands and
Yeah.
So that's where we leave John for now. And we will come back to see what happens to statue John.
He's been taken to Jabba's palace.
Yeah.
So yeah, shall we tell the folks where they can find us, Jack?
You can find me on Twitter at Lack of Surprise One. That's all one word with a number one at the end. You can find me over on Discord in our Discord server, Howdy Puppets, I believe it's called.
Yes.
And over on Instagram, at Jack Kramme, all one word, lowercase. Josh, what about you, sir?
Well, Jack, they can find me on Instagram as well, at Josh Gosdin, also lowercase.
Wonderful.
I just talk about food and self-care.
That's
wonderful. Now, Sara, you are quite the YouTuber, quite the presence, you might say. You've been making whales.
Is that what they call
it? Even a splash lately. You've been making.
Yeah. I hope to never talk about that movie again. Yeah, I just passed 666 subscribers actually.
Woo! Yeah.
6,000.66.
666, the number of the beast. Sorry.
Coming up on 6.69. It's the
69. Nice.
You gotta catch the cool numbers, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So yes, I had a video out where I try to put the horrendous whale movie into cultural context. Yeah, and that's thing. And I'm working on some other videos as well. Some next one I'm hoping is going to be fun. I'm writing at the moment, and maybe out by the time that this comes out is me talking about why My Fair Lady is so very, very gay.
Or Professor Higgins.
He is a dedicated bachelor.
Yeah, I like that.
He says it.
He does.
Who doesn't?
I've grown accustomed to her face. Nothing else.
Yeah, like that is that. It's very queer family.
Yeah. It's Audrey Hepburn.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. So that should be fun. And also, Ren and I and some other folks are working on rebooting Real Fat People.
Cool. Hey.
So yes, we were hoping we're going to do 6 episodes this time.
Diggity.
Yeah. So
fun times.
Yeah. We're going to be talking about the men.
The men?
Fat men.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. I was just like the men. What did I do? What?
Men in tights? Like
the men in tights. No,
men in black
tights. No, last time we discussed fat women characters. This time we're discussing fat male characters. We've got some people who identify as men and some AMAB people joining us to talk about fat men on film.
Good shit.
So
cool.
Jack Black and Fat Thor, etc.
Good shit.
And I'm also on Twitter at BlueStockKidSara. So, yeah.
Nice.
Nicely done.
Yeah. So join us in 2 weeks to find out the fate of Statue John and Moya.
Mm-hmm. We'll see you then.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Trans rights are human rights.
Yes.
Hey, there it is.
Yes. Always sauce your turfs well. Just a good tomato sauce lashing over your idiot turfs.
That sentence went a completely different direction that I was expecting. Like I was like, always what? Like cooking with Sara now.
Cooking with anti-fascism. Soup for my family.
Chicken soup for the soul.
Please, sir, I want some more.